Are you able to see this window, Sarthak, or anybody can confirm me?
Yes, yes, correct. Yes,
All right,
getting you.
ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in your time zone. So this is now Gurukul, and if you have been in touch with us from last few weeks, 3 weeks in short, I would say. Okay, so we are trying to do something for the service community. We are trying to do something for ourselves as well. Okay, so these are the more major things that we have come up with as of now. So I believe that you are in our WhatsApp groups. You have seen the Meetup 1 and Meetup 2 as well, which talks about it, right? So what we have done till now is in the week 1, we set the foundations. Okay, we shared some courses with you free of cost, provided by ServiceNow, which you should learn, which are open sources, right? And then in the second week, we had this session with from the Anubhav, who told you, are the right things to do when you are the right early stage of your career, especially in the ServiceNow community, and what all small things that you can take care to get a new job, or maybe you change the job and all that stuff, right? So after that, the major announcement that I would like to say is the main basic goal of this Now Gurukul is to learn and implement the things in a disciplined approach, right, at the weekly basis. So Sarthak has done a really hard job in bringing up the first week targets for us, which we mostly will be going to release by tonight. Okay, apologies for having this Now Gurukul meetup on a weekday. Okay, there are multiple reasons for that. I am traveling on this week, and Sarthak was also busy. And most importantly, like, we wanted to bring an expert speaker for all of you, which I will be introducing you shortly. So we'll not go much more detail. What happened in the past. I will share the recording link with you shortly in the chat window, which you can explore. Okay. Now let's me come up with the today's agenda in short. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have Pranav Bhagat in the house. Who is Pranav Bhagat? I hope you all already know that, and you have checked his LinkedIn profile and everything is there. Okay, so in short, ServiceNow, Pranav Bhagat works as a senior developer advocate at ServiceNow. Okay, and who is Pranav Bhagat? How he reached there, how he can help us. Okay, we are going to talk with him in next few minutes, and there's going to be a lot of things that happening, right? So before I start bringing Pranav on the stage, I would say that please come over the videos as well. Okay, we need to respect the speaker as well, and plus it is going to be more interactive for you as well, right? So what if I speak to you without cameras, right? So this is not your office stuff. This is not your formal meeting where you need to restrict yourself. Come up on the stage, speak your heart aloud, whatever doubts you in your mind have. Try to get as much as you can, from this session itself. So with that note, let me bring Pranav on over the spotlight. Give me a sec. Yeah.
Hey everyone, how are you all doing? I hope like just put in the chat how's your day going on. Yeah, because my session, whenever I'm talking with anyone, right, it's always about interaction. It's always about two-way communication, right? So quickly come to your chats and just talk about how was your day. I'm going to read some of the chats and maybe probably ask some of you to unmute yourself and talk. So, like Gagan, are they able to chat?
I guess they're sending to me. Let me just change the settings if they can do.
Yep. And till the time Gagan is changing the settings, why not you guys come on video? I'm seeing a lot of people coming on the video. Thank you very much for coming. And what about others? Like, okay, yep, great. I think Gagan, all right, if
Pranav, I am making you the co-host as well. Try if you can change that setting that they can chat with everyone.
I think you have to allow them to. Anyway, not an issue.
Okay, I got that. Now they can chat with everyone. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep. So quickly, guys, how was your day going on? It's Thursday. So how are you all? Busy day. Exciting. Great. 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 Perfect. I think that's what I wanted to hear from you, that
సో ఏ
you,
ఆర్గనైజేషన్ లో చేస్తున్నారు మీరు?
I think,
టీసీఎస్ టీసీఎస్
Harita, you have to unmute
అయితే
yourself.
టీమ్స్ లో కాల్ చేయను పోనీ.
Can you mute Sarthak?
Yeah, I've done that. No worries. So that's what I wanted to hear from you, like how you are. And before I start into the session and all, let me quickly introduce myself. So those of you who don't know about me, my name is Pranav and I am a senior developer advocate at ServiceNow. I've been working on the ServiceNow ecosystem for around 8 years now. I started initially as a software engineer, then moved into more of leading roles, then did consulting for a few years. And just prior to joining ServiceNow, I was working with a customer and was supporting them with their implementation. So that's pretty much about me. And today, like when Gagan asked me to come here, I just said, Gagan, like, let's ask the audience what they want to see, because I think we are already 122 people who have joined the session. So it's all you guys, what questions you have, any kind of a question related to your technical stuff. Maybe you are starting your new journey with ServiceNow, like some of you are freshers who want to start learning something new, so you can ask those things up. And if you want something like if you want me to share something about how I started, I'm happy to do that. If you want me to share any kind of a technical stuff, that's also fine. So it's all you. So quickly in the chat, why not you start asking your question, what question you have, or if you want a technical session, I can do that also. So this is a very open agenda. Like, I'm here for you guys, so that you can come up with any kind of questions. So Gagan or Sarthak, if you see any question, do let me know. Ta-ta.
Sure.
And so till the time people, you are posting a question in the chat or something, I like to plug in the knowledge. I think you are seeing my background also, it's knowledge. So knowledge is happening on May 14 to 18. So make sure, like, if you are not coming there, then you can have the digital experience, which will be coming up very shortly. And if you are coming to knowledge, I would be really happy to meet you all there. So that's about knowledge. I'm doing one session in knowledge that's on the live.
I guess we have lost Pranav.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, it's fine now, Pranav.
Okay, no worries. There is some issue going on with my Zoom. It's
Oh,
like, okay. So I was just talking about like some sessions in knowledge. So we have a lot of things planned in knowledge. We have a live coding happy hour live there itself that we are doing. Then we have a lot of labs that are happening. And also we have the hackathon. So all these things.
have we lost him again, Sarthak?
Yes, I think that.
Just give me a second. Let me see.
Yes. No problem. Please manage.
I just wait for 2 minutes. The moment he's in. So the moment he comes in on board again, try to ask the question in the chat window, which are more generic and relevant. Okay. If you can want to discuss any technical requirement, that we can discuss in our WhatsApp group as well. And he might not be able to help you at Go as well. Okay. Try to see how you can get benefit from him in your career. Right. So let me see. Yeah. Hi, Pranav. Are you there now?
Yes, I'm there. I don't know what's happening with my Zoom.
No worry. Sometimes the weather is not good.
I don't know, something is going wrong with my Zoom. If it goes off, I'll probably restart my system and come back, join online. Yeah, Gagan. So was there any?
Yeah. So there are many questions coming in the chat window. Okay, so Pranav, before we go into that, yeah, you were discussing about knowledge. Yeah, can you please complete that first? Then we'll go ahead.
Yes, sure. So in knowledge, like we are having multiple stuff that's going on. Life coding, happier life. That's what I'm doing. So I'll be going into going into the document intelligence in knowledge, in which I'll be going to the nuts and bolt. And I have a I have a surprise planned for you during the live coding happy hour, which I'm not gonna reveal. You have to watch the live coding happy hour to know about it. So that's there. We have a hackathon that's going on. So Earl, who is my colleague, he's doing it. Then we have a lot of other stuff that's there. So I would recommend go to the agenda builder and look into it if you're coming to the knowledge. We also have a digital experience that will be coming up. I don't have the exact details as of now, but that will be there. So like what's there? There was a question, right, about life coding happy hour? Oh, I missed it. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you can tell them what is live coding happy hour if they're not aware of it.
Sure. I think I saw one question anyway. Maybe I'm not able to see the chats. If you can make me the co-host
Oh, sure,
again.
I will. I just making you right away, Pranav. So, Pranav, before we go into the questions, I have just made you the co-host as well. Okay. So the first thing, that I would like to ask you for the benefit of the audience as well. See, most of the people here in the audience are freshers, okay, and then the mid-level people who are still trying to find their way in the service now as well. Okay, they know the stuff, but maybe they don't have the clarity to do that. And the major question that comes in their mind is scripting versus configuration. What level of coding that they need to do in order to get successful in service, right? So my question is like, what made you starting your career, as a normal guy, and then you have reached to this designation, of course, which is quite reputed. So what was your, what to say, the go-to situation and go-to plan that you would like to share with the audience, that would be
Got
good.
it. So as I mentioned in the starting, when I started my career 8 years back, so at that time, ServiceNow was different. Now ServiceNow is different, right? So a lot of stuff that I have done at that time might not be relevant right now, because I remember I can share this story with you all. So when I started my career, so ServiceNow had UI 14. I don't know, half of you might have not seen the UI 14, 15. That's there. Most of you are familiar with the UI 16 that's there, and the next experience that's going on. So when I started my career that time, so that there was no I can say now learning. There was nothing like docs or anything. It was wiki altogether. So my journey was like I was going into the module. I was going into each and every stuff that was there in the service now, one by one, and going through it. Like for example, if I'm on a incident table, let's suppose this is a table that's the most famous one among developers. They always go to the incident table to do certain stuff, right? So I went to that table. I just started doing the whole process, like from creating the incident to resolving it to closing it, so that I understood the process, and in between what are the various components that are there. So that was like one way I learned certain things. And also this is kind of a story that I like to share with you all. So when I started my career, like when I was working with my first client and with my, so they already built an app that is like custom app they built in the global scope itself, because I think there was no scoped application at that time. So they have built a global scoped app. And what I did is like I just copied it line by line without following any docs, just going through it so that I get an experience. So what I'm trying to say is like I'm not saying you go ahead and copy an app, or no, I'm just saying that the more hands-on you do on the system, right? The more hands-on you come on ServiceNow platform, you start building stuff, you start exploring it, then you will be able to learn more. Coming to the scripting part or anything, ServiceNow is a low-code, no-code tool, right? You don't need to have a big scripting experience. You don't need to be a coder or something to learn ServiceNow. That's how simple it is. It's a low-code tech where you can come up and build things by drag and drop, by clicking on buttons. I would highly recommend you guys go through the App Engine Studio. If you haven't heard about it, go into the App Engine Studio and start building some app. You will see how interactive it is. The GUI, the graphical user interface that you will see, it's so simple that you will be able to build the apps. And we then this is not just like I am saying for the sake of saying. We ran a build with AES challenge last year in which we asked people to build the apps, and I remember like there were so many entries in that challenge that came up. And when they were all like, I was not an employee at that time of ServiceNow. I participated in build with AES challenge. I saw it later, and most of the people who have submitted their entries, they were from a different background. Someone was from QA, someone was from business, he was doing business analysis, all these things that were there. So firstly, don't worry about scripting a lot, JavaScript, other stuff. This is something you will learn when you are working on it. I would say get an idea of the platform. It should be like, yeah, you are in the platform, you know each and every component, how different components talk to each other, right? If you are maybe on any table, like for example, when I used to get a requirement to build certain things on ServiceNow, my idea was in my mind, quickly, I was able to make a solution. Okay. For example, I need to write a flow for it. I'll write a flow. If I need to write a business rule or something, I'm going to write those things. So this is how your mindset should work. You don't need to worry about like, okay, I have to write current dot this, or glide record, glide Ajax, all these things. This is something you will learn gradually. Learn the process, learn the way how ServiceNow is working, learn the tool, I would say. Then you will be able to jump into something else. So that's my piece of advice. It was a bit long, but yeah, that's how you should follow.
No, that makes sense, Pranav, each and every word of yours. Pranav, one more question is there, right? This was regarding scripting part, which is, I totally agree with you as well with my 2 years of experience in service now. The next question is, there are different sets of people in this house today. It's okay. Few are developers, few are business analysts, and few are architect. Few developers are there who want to become an architect. Okay. Few BAs are there who want to become a developer. Okay. So what is your recommendation in that perspective when you're looking for a role change in service now? Okay. And you know how to track that, basically how to get that. So basically, if I'm a developer, I want to become a ServiceNow architect. Okay. So what should be my to-go approach for that?
Got it. So when you are a developer, right? So something that I'll tell about, there are multiple types of developers. I'll take 2 different scenarios. It's just a hypothetical thing. There is a developer who gets a story, who gets some work, and he or she will gonna do that, right? Without thinking how it will impact the whole system. For the sake of doing it, if you're doing it, then you are not ready to be an architect, right? Once you start thinking as a developer, when I was a developer, once you start thinking and you start asking question, right? Like for example, you are working with a client, you ask them question, okay, why we have to do this thing, right? Do we really need this thing? It might cause some impact and other stuff. When you start asking these questions, then you are ready to become an architect, because architect job is like to ask question. I have completed my CTA in the past. So those of you who don't know about CTA, it's a certified technical architect course from ServiceNow. We have taken 12 weeks of training to become an architect. But even before that, I have architected like couple of almost 20 projects before enrolling for that course also. So my piece of advice is like, start interacting with the client, first thing, it's like 80%, I think 80% of the stuff is about how you communicate with the person, how you deal with the person. Because if you are working with a client who is very new to ServiceNow, they will be having a lot of questions and doubts in their mind, like what are the small integrities of ServiceNow. So learn those things, understand those stuff, and then the knowledge that you've gained as a developer, you have gained a lot of knowledge about how things are working. You know the whole process. Then it is easy to come up with a strategy. And it's not like in your first project as an architect, you will be all alone. You'll be having your support. Learn from the person who has done it in the past. There are a lot of components. You have the data strategies, you have the process strategies, you have like the boards, like I don't know how many of you know about it, but as an architect, you have to make technical governance boards that will be there. So these boards will set up standards for other developers. So that's kind of a road that you have to follow when you are becoming an architect. In summary, if you're a developer, if you know the whole process, you understand the whole process end to end, you have done it a lot. Now and you are able to ask questions to the client, like, okay, why this, why we are doing it. And I remember, like, I asked the client and we cancel a lot of stories. Those of you who are beginners or freshers, story is a small component in that we call in ServiceNow or in agile world also. It's a work that we do. Like, for example, if I'm assigned a story or something, that means like I'm assigned this particular work that I have to do. So start asking questions, start interacting with the client, understand their pain points, understand their business pain point, what is the issue that they are having. And after that, you can jump into architect and all. And same thing, I think, for a business analyst to a developer, see, path is same. You have to learn ServiceNow. If you are a business analyst who is talking with the client, getting the requirements and making stories from it, definitely you will be having some ServiceNow knowledge. It's not like you won't be having any knowledge. So I would say, like, you will be having some rough edges, like as you don't have a lot of hands-on in ServiceNow. So go ahead and smoother your rough edges and make sure that you have those basic skills that are required in development. And those skills are not something a lot big stuff that you have to know all the scripts and everything. No, you have to know the platform. You have to be comfortable with the platform. You understand the process. Like I always tell people, like, go ahead and see the process. Right, process is the most important thing. And you don't have to do ITSM always. You don't have to do HR. Learn the process that you are comfortable with. A lot of you, I think, if we leave the freshers out, you don't know what exactly ITSM other stuff. But those people who wants to switch their career from maybe a different role altogether, you might have done something in the past, like customer service management. If you're coming from a service-based industry, you might have done customer service management. If you're coming from HRSD, you know about services, HR services and other stuff. If you're coming from a kind of a governance roles or risk roles, you will be knowing risk and controls, other stuff. So go into GRC space. There are a lot of products. You don't have to be expert in everything. You can learn one product. That's all that will help you. Learn with all the patience, or like I would say, put all your patience, all your hard work into one product, learn it, then go wide. That's my approach. Like, even if you want, you can watch a video from Robert Frederick. So he has done a video on going wide versus going deep. What it means is, like, should you learn everything little by little, or you should go deep into one? I say you go deep into one particular tech and go wide, because that's required for a consultant. You should know a bit of thing. That was my approach. Like safe harbor, those of you who don't know about safe harbor, we always say safe harbor when it's like when something, it's our thought and it might not happen. All these things. So that's about role switching and other stuff.
Yeah, Pranam, thanks a lot. And CT is a great program. Fortunately, I'm also going through that. So those who are into this room, you should target that as your next goal, in your service journey for sure. With time, of course. So we'll go to some one or two technical questions as well, one of which we have in the window. Before that, two things. I will ask you two questions, clubbing together, and maybe you can answer that. Okay. The first thing is that what is your advice for the freshers who are looking for jobs in service now? Okay, so how they should prepare themselves for that, as you are from India, you know the Indian industry well, right? And how does it work? And the second part of the question is, people also have very confusion in which module they should go. Obviously, most of them start with the ITSM, okay, but then they want to make their expertise into some specialized modules like GRC or ITOM, right? So what do you advise for that? How to go about these two things in the audience?
See, job market, I know about the job market, right? I have been living in India for from my whole life, right? So I know exactly how job market works. See, firstly, without focusing on the job market, learn the tech. If you are a person, right? Like I'll tell you, in ServiceNow, each and every employee that I work with is passionate about ServiceNow. You have to be passionate about the tech. You have to you have to learn with that particular passion, that you want to do something with service now. It shouldn't be like, oh, you just learn it and you want to get a job. If you learn it, if you understand the nuts and bolt of it without worrying about the job, I highly recommend you go into each and every stuff on the platform, not into a particular application, but on the platform, and understand and learn things. I don't think there will be any problem in getting a job. The problem starts when people are dependent on questions. Right. I also get a lot of requests on LinkedIn. Can you share some questions with me, like which can help us with the job? I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because questions will change. If I just right now in client script, like tell me about 4 different types of client script, I can like create 10 different questions out of it. Not, and maybe answer might be same, but the way I ask the question is different. If you have read just one type of question from the sheets, it won't make sense. So that's my recommendation. Learn the platform, get comfortable. Once you get comfortable with the platform, then you will be able to get a job. And Gagan, coming to your second question, I think you are asking about
the modules, like start with ITSM, somebody wants to go into GRC and ITOM.
Yes, this is something that I've answered previously also. It's not something you have to start with ITSM. Your senior might ask you, go ahead and look into incident problem change, because they might be having that kind of a client that they're working with. Go ahead and find out what best suits you. If you're a fresher, right, you don't have to jump directly into ITSM. You have to go through the ITIL concepts. You have to know exactly how ITSM was built. So those of you who don't know, ITSM is like, the foundation of ITSM is ITIL. Like ITIL had a lot of best practices that's there, and the ServiceNow use those best practices to build their own ITSM solution. So go ahead and look into the ITIL part, understand how the processes are, what are the best practices. Maybe talk with a couple of people who are into services, who are basically looking into like all the ITSM service management, service managers and all. Maybe talk with them for 10-15 minutes. It's I don't think it will be tough to get like 10 minutes of their time. Maybe if they can give you an idea of, oh, we do this thing, this is our incident comes up, then incidents. If a change is required, then changes are scheduled. Changes are of a normal, standard, emergency, or whatever changes in their companies are. And if we have an incident which is causing like a lot of problems and all, we create a problem, all these stuff. Understand that if you feel that's the right thing for you, go for it. Like maybe with your seniors, if you're talking with your seniors also, if you're a fresher, right, in your in the company, maybe this is a good place, right? Like now Gurukul, that's there. It's a good place for all the freshers to come up and ask like, okay, what is HRSD? I'm happy to tell about HRSD. What is CSM? I can do that. Like these things, so that you get some idea about what exactly these things are. Right. But the prerequisite before you go into any module is, again, I'll say it's like it's going into the platform. I have said like this thing multiple times, going into the platform and learn. It can be a drinking game, those of you who are watching on LinkedIn. But that's fine, I'm joking. All right.
Thanks, Pranav. Yeah, so I understand. Like ServiceNow is kind of like an ocean itself, right? So the more you swim, the more you explore, and the more you get. Okay. So one interesting question in the house today. Okay, maybe it's a bit of tech. So the question is, when you have a requirement to automate or implement some X thing, how do you access ServiceNow to see if it's available out of the box, or rather than doing for the customization? So how to do that R&D basically? Once we have the requirement and we are not sure about it, how to go about it.
It's that simple. It's like google.com. Just you type certain things, like for example, you have a new tool that's there, you type that tool name with ServiceNow. I think Google search index is that great, it will give you some certain things. But jokes apart, like you can always check the ServiceNow's application, what kind of applications that are doing. Firstly, identify like your use case. The automation that you're doing is with which product, right? It should be with ITSM, other things that is there for that's there. Now try to see if there are any kind of a spokes. We have 170 plus spokes that is there in ServiceNow, flow designer spokes, which can be utilized to do any kind of integrations to ServiceNow. So make sure that you have those, you look into those things. If the spokes are not there, then you can go into the ServiceNow's application. ServiceNow has built a lot of applications, right? These are which can be utilized to do those integration. If things doesn't work there in terms of integration, then you can go into some partner application. Now there is a thing comes up, buy versus build, right? So buy versus build is something, if you are not familiar, it's like, should I buy a product from a partner or should I build it from scratch? If you're buying it, you don't have to maintain it, nothing else. You have to just go ahead and you can like plug and play. If you build it, you have to maintain it, and everything is on you. So it has its own advantages and disadvantages when you're doing buy and versus build. Think about it. And last option, if you don't find any kind of a thing that's not available in the ServiceNow platform, it is always better you go ahead and build it from scratch. The ServiceNow provides you with all the tools and other things. But before building, ask the client why. Right. Tell the client or the person for whom you're building it, why you need to build it, why you're building it, what's the ROI of it, will it, whatever the efforts that you're putting. See, you don't think like that you have put 8 hours or something. Companies think like in terms of dollars. How much amount is spent, how much, what's, because you are an investment, if you are getting your salaries and everything, right? So companies will be taking some this is like probably, let's say like $50 per hour that's going on. 50 like you are doing $500 work in a day, and maybe for a couple of weeks like that you're doing all these stuff that's going on. So it's like it's a cost that company is paying. So should the company be paying that cost for kind of an automation? Here, if you ask these questions, you becoming an architect, right? A developer will go ahead and just build it what the architect says, but this is something you have to gradually learn. So that's my piece of advice. Like if you're doing something new.
Thanks, Pranav. Have your water, please. And it's been a long talk. Yeah. So before I jump into the next question, I will just have a quick survey from the audience. Okay. So Pranav gave you a very open house thing on that starting, right? The things are on the plate. Just you need to pick that. So would you like to have a small tech demo from Pranav, or would you like to have this Q&A? So the simple plain question is, do you like to see a small tech demo from Pranav? If yes, maybe you can put in the chat window. We have a less time. Pranav, can we accommodate that in if you have the bandwidth?
I think we will let's take more questions because
Okay.
we have just 25 minutes, and I would say like I can stretch a bit, but I am seeing a lot of great question. Neelam is asking how much for a newcomer is feasible to move into service now from completely non-tech background, as I'm an HR, as I'm from HR background. Yes, you can move into it. We if you're not aware of our riser program, that's what it is about. It will launch very soon. So if you, that's what I'm saying, ServiceNow is a low code tool. You don't have to be an expert coder, you don't have to be a pro coder or something to learn ServiceNow. If you are in HR, you might know about different kind of HR services that are there. HR service might be a different term, but a kind of whatever the services that you offer to your employees, like payroll services there, payroll is there, the workforce, other thing, general HR queries, a lot of stuff that you offer to your employees. That's there. You know the process. Now you have to understand the technology behind it. You go ahead and learn the basics of platform, see how the basic of platform works, and then go ahead and just uh, understand how HRSD works. If you know that thing, go ahead and utilize it. Maybe it might take time because there are a lot of moving components in HRSD, but it's worth. You are way ahead of people who don't know HR. You have HR background, you know all these things. Maybe you don't have to go into full-fledged HR if you're doing onboarding, offboarding. Like if you are like specialist in onboarding, offboarding, you have life cycle events, learn those things. So that's, you have all the things available in ServiceNow, and you don't, and the beauty of it is like you don't need to know a lot of coding. You have to just be like, fine. I'm coming from electrical electronics background. I didn't had a lot of coding experience. I had a bit of coding experience, but not like a full-fledged coder and all. Right now, I know languages, but when I started, it was not required. Right. So go ahead and try to learn stuff, see how things are. There are a lot of video content and everything that's there. So that's
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Pranav, for that. Pranav, there is an interesting question here. Okay, so I have seen this pain point in many implementations for sure that, okay, we get some requirement, okay, we know how to do, or we find out some way to do it, okay, but there is very difficult to maintain the instance, okay. So there is an interesting question, how to improve ServiceNow instance performance, dashboard load time, API response time, form loading time, overall instance performance. So what's your take on, Pranav, as per your experience?
But see, this is again a very interesting question. So the person who have asked it, if you know about instance health scans that ServiceNow runs, I don't know whether you are aware of it or not, but if you're not, for all the audience, I can say, see, these are performance issues, right? If your form is not loading, just tell me like what can be a issue. Tell like anyone. I would say just type in your chat, like I'll give it 10 seconds. If your form is not loading, why, and it's loading slow, what can be a reason? Go ahead, type. Think simple. I'm not asking like a very technical answer, all these things. Yeah, correct. So a lot of you are getting an idea. Client scripts are there, UI policies, related list, data, All these things are causing these things. So if you are trying to maintain saying like how I can improve the performance of an instance, no straightforward answer. You get a health scan done on your system from ServiceNow, and once you, I think some health scans are free for certain partners. I don't know exactly, safe harbor again, but go ahead and look into the health scan. It provides you with a very beautiful report of your slow queries that are running in your environment, of what is causing that slowness in certain forms or in different places, how you can increase the performance. You have to revisit those particular scripts and other things. And not only it will, if you revisit those things, fix those things up, not only it will increase the performance, but there are other components in terms of security, performance. There are 5 different pillars in instance scan that are there. So you will improve those things. And ultimately, the upgradability will also increase. Your upgrades might be taking a hell lot of time. So and those upgrades will be quicker. So no straightforward answer to it. I would say understand your instance using the health scans, right? Like that's important. I've seen people are on like Tokyo release or all these releases that are their customers, but their script includes they're using from Helsinki because they have modified those script includes a lot, and then it's causing issues for them. So it's better you go through a health scan and understand those things and rectify stuff and increase your performance. That's a very, I know it's a very generic answer, but this answer requires that generic, this question requires that generic answer.
All right, so Pranav, getting some away from tech, there is an interesting question just Ashish has put in. What is the biggest struggle you faced while doing the implementation of any module or client? Mine is to get the requirements details from clients. Sometimes takes 15-20 days to share the credentials only. So what's your pain point you face in the past? So how to manage the clients? It's a very interesting question, Pranav.
I am not now into consulting, kind of a retired consultant, I can say. But I can say one thing about consulting. Like the thing that's tough is like when they are resistant to change, right? A client is coming from a different tool, and you don't know exactly like they are like they don't want service now. Like that, this kind of a situation happened with me. Their leaders or VPs, they wanted service now, so they got service now into, but they want exact same copy of what they want in service. So that's a tough point where you had to explain them by giving them demo. You have to train them like of the tool, like this is how the tool is actually working. And you have to tell them that the way we are doing it is better. And you have to feed them with small things, small demos, small component. I created 65 slide decks 65 slide decks for one particular client when I was working with them for CSM. Each thing had even small things like it was a CSM project, how you can create a case in comparison to it. So that was my particular pain point. It was fun. I can't say it's a pain point, learning opportunity. I still have those 65 slides. So now I know if I want to explain any client, I can show them those 65 slides, may not all 65, but maybe something. So that was my personal challenge. I can't say a challenge. I can say it's they are paying for a product. It's our job as consultant to make sure that they are happy. And at the end of the day, when they were implemented, I'm telling you, they were completely into ServiceNow, right? They were not using their old process and anything, and they were very happy. Why they were happy? Because we worked with them patiently. We explained them things end to end. That's how it works. A lot of moving.
Yeah. So basically, the concept of organization change management also comes in. There are a lot of
Sorry, Gagan, if I'm bothering you. I just want to ask one question as I'm traveling right now, so I can't able to write on the.
Go ahead, Abhishek.
Yeah, Abhishek, go ahead.
Abhishek, you're not audible, I believe.
Yeah,
So
let's
better
check.
you can put in the chat window. Okay, we'll take it up from there. So there is one question coming up, Pranav. Is there any module in application performance management in ServiceNow?
Application to, I am not aware of it. Something you have to check because there are so many modules that are there. So I won't be aware of all the things, and I don't want to say anything.
Agreed. Got it. Got it. Yeah. So maybe we can do more around you on that. So there is one more interesting question, Pranav. If someone is trying to switch to ServiceNow, either from other service management tool or other non-IT background with good experience, like 10 years, 7 years, okay. So how to justify that experience into getting into a ServiceNow job? Okay. So that's a good question because most of the people are, facing this challenge as well. So what's your take on it, Pranav?
See, if you're coming from a different take, you know the process, right? You don't have to justify those things because that's your 10-year experience in you know the tool, you know different tool, let's say XYZ tool that's there. You're coming from those ITSM tools and all, you know the process, you know end to end the process that's there, right? You have to learn the basics of ServiceNow. You can always say, I know the basics of ServiceNow. And I have tons of experience in the process side, which I've learned over the years, all this process and all. And now I may be having 1 year experience in ServiceNow tech, but for me, it's very easy. And you can also say, like, I can work on the migration projects in the start. I know that particular tool. I can help out with the migration. I can architect it. You can architect it, all these things. You don't have to, like, if you're doing a phased approach or that stuff, those things are agile concepts and other stuff. So it's easily justifiable. You don't have to hide it. If you just say like, okay, that 10-year experience, I also worked in service now, yada yada yada, all these things, then it's a pain. Make sure that you tell them what you know, what's your what's your knowledge, and I don't think nobody will say no or anything that.
I
Pranam, yeah, go ahead, Gagan, sorry.
who was that? Who was there?
Satyabrat this side.
Go ahead, Satya, you can ask.
Yeah. So, Pranam, the problem is that nowadays, whatever the requirements are there, we are seeing two things. One is your total experience and the relevant experience in service. Now, it should be 5 years or 3 years like that. If someone is more than 10 years experience, and they have to tell that they have at least 3 years of experience in service now, then only the resume gets shortlisted and they can appear for the interview. So those are the scenarios which is quite tricky, and so those scenarios people has to tell lie only, otherwise they cannot appear for the interview, right?
To be very honest, like it depends, right? You were just talking about maybe for a couple of companies which might be doing it. I don't want to comment like how these companies and other things work, but there are a lot of companies in the market in they look into the person's ability. Right. See, I have 8 years experience only, right? I don't have a lot of experience and other stuff in terms of total experience, if you say, right? But still, like, I'm working with different companies. I work with them. Nobody asked me those questions, right? How much is your relevant service now experience and all? You go ahead and start talking with them. And like when you are doing certain interview and all, you show them your intelligence, right? If you just come up there, sit quietly like that and let them ask you, then it's a tough thing sometimes. They won't be able to get an idea because you both are strangers, right? You don't know each other. So it's always like, eh, like, I know shortlisting is tough thing. If you're not shortlisted, that's fine. We can't do anything. But if you are shortlisted, go ahead and talk about your experience. Maybe you have to carry a water bottle during the Zoom call because you will be speaking a lot, but go ahead and do that. Talking is more important. I know one thing. 80% of the job interview, you will get a job 80% of the time if you talk and communicate well, not the communication skill. If you're able to deliver your message about your relevant experience and you are eligible for the job, you will get it. That's what I feel 80% of the time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pranav, for that. One question regarding the service portal. So, Pranav, we have seen this, like in service portal developer, there's a question, what do you see the forecast of that in demand, and what it takes to become a service portal core developer? They're using your Angular and all that as well skills. So, what's your take on that?
Service portal development, I would say I have done a series on deep dive into the world of portals on ServiceNow community channel, 4 videos. Go through it. A lot of things are covered in that videos. You will get some idea. See, again, it's a continuous learning process, not even service portal, anything that you're working in ServiceNow, you have to learn. Angular JS, I think it's a base foundation. You can go through it. You should know JavaScript, because JavaScript is like a parent of Angular JS. So need to know a JavaScript, then you know Angular. Then you should have some UI skills also, like HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, all these things you should be knowing. So if you have those skills, then you have to understand how ServiceNow's service portal framework works, because ServiceNow has their own way of doing certain things. So I would just simply say, go ahead and explore things, and don't think of, take one step at a time, right? We always think about like the final destination or the end game, right? Okay, I'll be a top portal developer. It doesn't happen like that. It comes with the experience, it comes with time. Give time, take one step at a day, and don't get fascinated about like people who are doing a lot of cool stuff on portal. They have done it because they have put that energy, efforts, and everything into it. So that's my
Makes sense, Pranav. Okay, we'll just have last 2 questions, Pranav, for the day, and we can wrap up. Obviously, we will be having more sessions from you going forward for the community as well. Okay, as they have said a lot of yes for the tech demo from your side. So maybe next time for sure. So, Pranav, this question is good. Like, what is the future of ServiceNow in terms of artificial intelligence for the product? Right, we'll not go into some different products. How does they work? But in terms of ServiceNow, what do you see? What's happening out there? And if you have some insights.
AI is everywhere, right? This is something like, if you looked into document intelligence, that's AI driven. There are a lot of product that ServiceNow is offering, which is using AI, right? So future is good. I would say a lot of things are happening. We are also coming with the open AI spoke in future. So things are there, and it's not just inside ServiceNow, but as a whole, right? Chat GPT is there, Bard, other stuff, all these things are there. So you can utilize those things and improve your productivity. Only thing about AI in terms of, I can say in ServiceNow, is like we are using AI to make sure it's not people get helped from it. It's not like something it's replacing complete work. It is there to help you folks to build apps and other things faster on the platform. And wait for some time, I have a surprise for you. That's something like we are coming up with a very good series. I don't want to call it right now like what exactly the series and all, but we will be having a YouTube show that will be coming up very soon, in which we're going to talk about AI, so open AI and other stuff that's there. Let me go through the chat and let me pick up another question. What is the low code? I think for career related, low code, no code, I have said a lot about it, how you can do it. I'll take some different question, like which can be much more, which can add some value. Future of AI versus using old. Okay, why ServiceNow is using older version of Bootstrap? Is there any chance that React will replace Angular? To be honest, like there are a lot of reasons we always use the stable versions and other things so that our customer doesn't face issue. That's there. React and all, I haven't heard about anything like React replacing Angular right now. So no idea, to be honest. I won't be having answer to everything, but I'll keep a note of it. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I think I'll probably be able to route you to the right person. And go ahead, folks. I'll give you guys another 2 minutes to post your questions, and I'll take two questions, last two questions, and go ahead and how I have one. This is a question like somebody's asking how to explain technical parts in layman terms to the client. See, that's a skill, right? So for that, you have to know about ServiceNow. You have to know firstly, like there is something like if you can explain a thing to a 5-year-old kid, start doing those thing kind of activities, client scripts example. Try to explain in a way a 5-year-old will be able to understand, right. So that's how you can do it. It's a skill, and try, you will learn over time, right? All these things. Don't use technical terms. And this is something I would say, go ahead and watch videos from a lot of CEOs. I think NVIDIA CEO, if you go into YouTube, I saw a small clip recently. Somebody asked him, can you explain NVIDIA? Right. The way that guy explained NVIDIA, it's so simple. I would say go ahead and watch that video right now after this call. It's a 30-second or 40-second video that's there. Right. How so Tejas, how service portal framework works. They just go into the deep dive into ServiceNow, deep dive into the world of service portal. All these things are covered. I have explained it in 4-hour series. So please go ahead and watch those things. And Mansi is asking future of ATF and testing. Future. See, testing, whenever the development is happening, testing will be there. Right. So we have manual testing and automated testing. If you are a tester, you know that both things go hand in hand. Certain things, certain tests requires lot of like human interaction. They are best done because of the exploratory thing, like how human mind can explore, right? So this is something like I would say future is always there. ATF is something we have improved a lot. So I personally loved ATF like when I was consultant, because it made our job so easy to do testing after an upgrade. So future is great if you have to, if I can put it in one word, but go ahead and start learning, start to build certain things. Ashish is saying great conversation. Thank you very much, Ashish. I hope you liked it. You got some insight from it. I know it's not a technical session. It's just like a small, just a talk show. And yeah, I think I'll hand it over to Gagan. And
Sure,
like,
Pranav. Thank you so much. I've holded the chat window as of now. One last question, okay, what was the most interesting question of the chat that you forgot to pick up? One person asked, what exactly do you do at ServiceNow?
okay. So who is this guy? I want to know. Jokes apart. Like what I do is like I'm there for you. If you look into my title, it's senior developer advocate. I'm a developer first and advocate later. I do advocacy for the developers. That means I am for you folks. And when I say developer, it's not related to just coders, low code developers, pro code developers, or maybe someone who is starting service now, right? My idea is to provide you with all the tools for your toolkit. You have your small toolkit when you start building on service now. So and not just me, like if you don't know about my other teammates, Chuck is there, Lauren is there, Earl is there before. Make sure that you guys have the right tool, the right set of data to build things on the platform. It can be tools on AES, platform, or automation engine. That's my thing. So that's what I do. I create content to enable developers to build apps on ServiceNow. I provide you guys with the tools for your toolkit. And what else you want to know, this gentleman who is asking me this question?
Thank you so much, Pranav. Okay, so it's time to wrap up. Pranav, thank you so much for your time. I don't have anything to give to you as of now, apart from this clap for you. Thank you so much for getting your time for all of us. It was really wonderful session. We had around more than 130 people in the house today, okay, which has learned from you. Obviously, we would like to have you more and more in the future as well, where you can share more knowledge for us for sure, okay. Thank you so much, Pranav, for being there.
Definitely, folks.
Thank you so much, Pranav, for helping us with your knowledge. It's extremely great and knowledgeable, mate. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye. I hope it's